Kate Middleton had only gone to do a normal bank transaction that day. But while waiting in line, when the phone conversation of 75-year-old Margaret in front of her reached her ears, alarm bells began to ring. The elderly woman saying, "Yes, I'm transferring all my money," was actually falling victim to the biggest scam of her life. The decision Kate made at that moment would save not only Margaret's 40 years of savings, but the lives of dozens of elderly people. That Tuesday morning had started ordinarily for Kate Middleton. She had gone to the small Barclays Bank branch in Kensington, joined the queue for a simple account transaction. She was wearing a plain sweater and jeans, had tied her hair in a simple bun. No one recognized her, and Kate was pleased about this. It was 10:30, and the bank had only been open for half an hour. Kate was third in line. There was an elderly woman in front of her. She had heard the name Margaret because the woman was constantly talking on the phone. Margaret was about 75 years old, gray-haired, a gentle-looking Englishwoman. She had an old model phone in her hand and looked quite worried. Kate initially didn't pay attention to this phone conversation, but the woman's voice was getting louder. "Yes, I understand, officer," Margaret was saying on the phone. "But do I really need to send all my money?" Kate's ears perked up. Officer? Was this woman talking to the police? But something seemed strange. Why would real police ask for money transfer over the phone? Margaret continued. "Is my account really in danger? Is it this urgent?" Kate began to listen more carefully. There was fear and anxiety in the woman's voice. Margaret's hand was trembling, and even though she couldn't see the number on the phone screen, the fact that the woman was so panicked was worrying. Okay, I understand. All £45,000, but this is all my savings." Margaret's voice was trembling. "How can I transfer such a large amount?" Kate's stomach churned. £45,000? Was this elderly woman going to send all her money to someone on the phone? This was a huge amount, perhaps everything the woman had saved throughout her life. "Are my accounts frozen? Oh my God, what will I do now?" Margaret was speaking in panic. "I'm not very knowledgeable about these things." Kate looked around. The other customers in the bank were busy with their own affairs. No one was paying attention to Margaret's situation. But alarm bells were now ringing in Kate's head. This was a classic scam scenario. The person on the phone was probably telling Margaret that there was a problem with her account, that she needed to transfer the money to a safe account. "Is the account number you mentioned safe? Isn't this my own bank?" Margaret asked suspiciously. At least she was being somewhat cautious about this. Kate was hopeful that Margaret was showing slight suspicion. Maybe the woman wasn't completely defenseless. Margaret continued talking. "Well, could you repeat the IBAN number?" "I'm writing it down. HSBC. Okay. But isn't this a different bank?" Kate couldn't bear it anymore. This woman was definitely being scammed. HSBC was a different bank, and real police would never request such a transfer. Kate couldn't bear it anymore. This woman was definitely being scammed, but how should she intervene? Should she interfere or not? "Yes, officer. I'm at the bank right now. I'll transfer it immediately. You'll protect my account too, won't you?" Margaret asked hopefully. This was enough for Kate. She took a step forward and gently touched Margaret's shoulder. "Excuse me," Kate said in a low voice. "I'm sorry, but—" Margaret pulled the phone away from her ear and looked at Kate. "One moment, officer. Someone is talking to me." Kate spoke quickly. "This is a scam. Hang up the phone." Margaret was surprised. "What did you say?" "The person on the phone is not police. This is a scam. Please hang up the phone immediately." Margaret's face wrinkled with confusion. "But he's a police officer. My accounts—" Kate spoke more firmly. "Real police never ask for money transfers over the phone. This is a classic scam. Hang up the phone now." Margaret hesitated. The phone was still in her hand. There was probably still a voice coming from the other end. Kate gently took the phone from Margaret's hand and hung up. "Hey, what are you doing?" Margaret looked angrily. "I'm saving you," Kate said in a calm voice. "These people are scammers. They were trying to steal your money." Margaret still didn't believe it. "But he told me my name. He knew my address, my account numbers." They obtained this information through various means: social media, phone directories, sometimes data breaches. Real police never ask for money transfers over the phone. The other customers in the bank were also beginning to notice the situation. A security guard approached. "Is there a problem, ladies?" Kate turned to the security guard. "This woman was about to fall victim to a scam. We need to report this." Margaret was still in shock. But he was very convincing. He spoke like real police." Kate turned to Margaret and put her hand on her shoulder. "I know, they're very professional. But you made the right decision. You came to the bank. If there was a real problem, the bank would have told you." The security guard called the manager. When the bank manager came, Kate explained the situation. "Mrs. Margaret," said the bank manager, "there's no problem with your accounts. What you encountered was a classic phone scam." Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "So really, if this lady hadn't stopped me, I would have lost all my money?" "Unfortunately, yes," said the manager. £45,000 is a very large amount." Margaret turned to Kate. You saved me. What's your name?" Kate hesitated for a moment. "Kate," she said simply. "Kate, I don't know how to thank you. This money is my entire life savings, the insurance my late husband left, my pension, the money from the house we sold." Kate's heart tightened. This woman had been about to lose it all. "Margaret," Kate said, "you need to be careful from now on. These types of calls are very common." The bank manager intervened. "Mrs. Margaret, I'll give you brochures. You'll learn how to recognize these types of scams." Margaret nodded but still looked shaken. Am I very stupid? How could I be fooled so easily?" Kate smiled gently. "You're not stupid, Margaret. These people are very professional. They specifically target elderly people because they trust more." "But I don't know how to thank you, Kate. Maybe we could have tea? I owe you." Kate looked at Margaret. This gentle, elderly woman had affected her deeply. "Sure, let's have tea." After leaving the bank, they went to a small nearby cafe. Margaret still looked shaken. "I can't understand," Margaret said while stirring her tea. "That man seemed very convincing to me. He gave me a police ID number, told me my exact address." Kate explained, "They can collect this information from various places. Do you have family photos on Facebook?" "Yes, I share photos of my grandchildren." "That's where they learn your name, age, family. They find your address from phone directories. Then they call you and act as if they know everything." Margaret nodded. "I'm not very knowledgeable about technology. My daughter set up my Facebook account." Kate wanted to learn more. "Margaret, have you received such calls before?" "Actually, yes. Someone called last week, said they were from Microsoft, said there was a virus on my computer. But my neighbor Janet said that was also a scam." "Janet was right. So how did today's call start?" Margaret tried to remember. "They called at 9 in the morning. 'Mrs. Margaret Davies, I need to talk to you about an important matter,' he said. I got scared, of course." Kate listened. These scammers were really professional. "What did he say next?" "There had been suspicious activity on my account. Someone had copied my card. 'You need to move your money to a safe place immediately,' he said." I panicked. Kate understood. Fear and urgency were the scammer's biggest weapons. "Margaret, there are many people like you. This isn't just your problem." "Really?" "Yes. Millions of pounds are stolen this way every year in England. Elderly people are especially targeted." Margaret was sad. "Why do they target us?" Kate explained gently. "Because you generally trust more. You may be less knowledgeable about technology, and you usually live alone at home." "This is very sad. But precautions can be taken. The most important rule: never transfer money over the phone. Real banks or police never ask for such things. Margaret was listening carefully. What else should I do? Kate gave advice. When you're suspicious, hang up the phone and call the official number. Don't rush. Consult a family member or friend. My daughter lives in London. I could have called her. Absolutely. A second opinion is always good. Margaret looked at Kate gratefully. Kate, you're very knowledgeable about these matters. Do you work in this field? Kate smiled. No, I'm interested in social issues. I'm so lucky you were there. What if you hadn't been? Kate thought. What if she really hadn't been there? Margaret would have lost all her money. While chatting, Kate realized that Margaret hadn't just nearly fallen victim to a scam, but was also very lonely. Margaret, how is your family? I have a daughter, Sarah. She lives in London, has her own family. We meet once a month. My husband John passed away 3 years ago. Kate's heart tightened. Elderly people living alone were easier targets. Margaret, raising awareness about this issue is very important. Maybe you could share this with your friends too. Of course! I'll tell Janet immediately. She's also elderly. She might be getting such calls. An idea came to Kate's mind. Margaret, educational programs could be organized for elderly people like you. You could be informed about this issue. This is a great idea. How could it be done? Kate thought. Maybe she could do something about this. I could research it. Maybe I could talk to local government. Margaret got excited. Really? That would be very good, Kate decided. This wasn't just about scams. Loneliness was also a problem. Margaret, could I suggest something to you? Of course, Kate. Sharing your experience could be very valuable. Maybe you could help other elderly people. Margaret was surprised. Me? How? By telling your experience. People would believe you because you've been through the same situation, Margaret thought. Maybe I could do it, so it doesn't happen to others. Kate smiled. That's a wonderful thought. When she parted with Margaret that day, Kate had made a decision. She was going to do something about this issue. When she returned home, she told William about the situation. I saved an elderly woman from a scam today, she said, named Margaret. She was going to lose £45,000. William was surprised. How did you notice? She was talking on the phone next to me at the bank. It was a classic phone scam. Kate deepened the topic further. William, this is a very big problem. Elderly people are constantly being targeted. What can we do? I'm thinking of an awareness campaign, sharing Margaret's story, warning people. William supported her. Great idea. Which organizations could we work with? Age UK, Citizens Advice Bureau. There are many organizations working on this issue. A few days later, Kate called Margaret. Margaret, this is Kate. How are you? Kate, I'm very well, thank you. I called my daughter Sarah, told her your story. She also thanked you very much. Margaret, I have an offer for you. Would you like to tell your experience to wider audiences? What do you mean? I want to organize educational programs for elderly people. You could also share your experience in these programs. Margaret got excited. Really? Can I really help? Absolutely. When someone like you tells it, people believe more. Margaret accepted. Of course, Kate. I'd be very happy to. Weeks later, Kate organized the first educational program together with Margaret. 50 elderly people attended. When Margaret came on stage, she was a bit nervous, but determined. My name is Margaret Davies, she said. I'm 75 years old, and last month I almost lost all my money to scammers. There was deep silence in the hall. Margaret told her story. The morning phone call, the encounter at the bank, Kate's intervention. If Kate hadn't been there that day, I might be homeless now. £45,000 was all my savings. People were very moved. Dozens of hands went up in the question and answer section. Mrs. Margaret, how were you fooled so easily when someone asked? Because they were very professional. They knew my name, address, account information. They spoke like real police. Someone else asked, "How can we recognize these?" Kate intervened. "The most important rule, never transfer money over the phone. When you're suspicious, hang up and call the official number." The program was very successful. People were both informed and impressed by Margaret's courage. After the program, Margaret came to Kate. "Kate, this was wonderful. I felt very useful." "Margaret, you were incredibly brave. Sharing this experience isn't easy. But it's necessary. Other people must be protected too." Months later, Margaret became the face of anti-elderly scam campaigns. Her story appeared on TV and in newspapers. One day when Kate went to visit Margaret, she found her very happy. "Kate, it's so nice to see you. Guess what happened?" "What happened, Margaret?" "This week 3 elderly people called me. When they received suspicious phone calls, I gave all of them the right advice." Kate's face lit up. "That's wonderful." "And yesterday Sarah called. She said she was very proud." "My mother is a hero," she said. Kate hugged Margaret. "Because that's what you are, Margaret, a real hero." Margaret spoke with tears in her eyes. "If you hadn't talked to me at the bank that day, I wouldn't be here now. But I did talk to you, Margaret, and now you're saving dozens of people." This story shows us that sometimes small interventions can create big changes. Kate's attention that day protected not only Margaret, but dozens of elderly people. Margaret is now the symbol of the fight against elderly scams. Her story gives hope to countless people and protects them. What do you think about this story? Do you discuss these topics with your elderly relatives? Share your experiences in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and click the like button so you don't miss awareness-raising stories like this.